We've certainly gotten that this angle, this big angle, is 93 degrees. But since we're not sure y is directly south of x, we can't actually say this is 57. But we've gotten this angle to be 93. We have this side, we have 60 meters on this side, we have 180 on this side. We can use that to find these two angles. If we discover that this angle is 57 after solving, that means y is directly south of x or due south of x. And if we get our angle to be smaller than 57 degrees, that means the line comes right here to join. And if the angle here is bigger than 57 degrees, that means the line goes outside, because from here to here is 57. You've traveled 57 here. Then if it's over 57, like 60, that means the line that we drew here should have been drawn right here. So this illustration doesn't actually represent the actual relationship between location x and y, but we're sure of the location of both of them in respect or relative to Pallas P. So we'll name this y, we'll name this p, and we'll name this x. And with this we can solve. For the sake of explanation, we can actually redraw this so we can easily understand. This is how our diagram should look like after illustrating, since, like I said earlier, we're not sure of this angle, since y is not directly due south of x, but we're sure this is 93 degrees based on the information given to us. Now we'll start with question 10b. Find and correct to 3 significant figures the bearing of x from y. That means if you are looking for the bearing of x from y, that's like saying looking for the location or locate x from y, except when it's compass bearing. If it's 3-figure bearing, we'll take our reading from the north and travel from the north until we hit the line of x. So we have to go right round and hit the line of x, not the line of p. If you are looking for the bearing of our Pallas, that's Pallas P from y, Chief Y's house, we'll travel round and hit this line. We are going to travel round and hit the x line. And for us to get the bearing, we need to find this angle. This angle will actually help us in getting the bearing of x from y, or we can simply say the location of x from y. We have to travel right round to the point that we hit this line. So let's start that. Like I said earlier, the best to use to start solving the question is to use sine rule. It's not a right angle triangle, you can't use any of the Pythagoras theorem. So the best thing to start with is the sine rule, and if the sine rule doesn't work, then you try cosine rule if you're not very sure of which rule to apply per time. Now looking at this, we have our Pallas P here. Opposite the angle of Pallas P is this line, and if this is big P, this is going to be small p. If this were A, the big A, this is going to be small a. And also, since we are looking for this angle y, for us to find the answer to a question, we'll know that if this is big Y, the line opposite the angle represents the small y. And like said in sine rule, we have sine rule states that small a over sine A equals B over sine B, and we can extend it to C over sine C. So at any point we're solving a question, we can take two. We can take any two. We can take these two, or we can take A over sine A equals C over sine C. Now we can replace this A with the value of our P, Y, and X. Since we have our big P here that represents the angle and the small p as the side, the distance, we can say P over sine P equals, we're looking for this angle, this Y over sine big Y, the angle of Y. So we have Y over sine Y. We know our P, which is small p, is 180 meters. So we write 180 over. We know our angle P, which is this the angle opposite the line P is 93 degrees. So we write sine 93 degrees equals to our Y, small y, is 60 meters, right? 60 over sine. We don't know the angle of Y that we're looking for, is Y. So we can find our angle Y. Cross multiply like this. We have 180 sine Y equals 60 sine 93 degrees. 180 times sine Y equals 60 times sine 93 is 0.9986. Our sine y is equal to, divide both sides by 180 to get rid of the 180. Our sine y will be 60 times 0.9986 over 180. Sine y is equals to 60 times 0.9986 will give you 59.916 over 180. 59.916 divided by 180 will give you 0.3329. Sine y is 0.3329. Y is equal to arc sine 0.3329. Using your calculator, pressing the shift button or the second function, sine, then you type this digit 0.3329, we'll discover that our angle is 19.4 degrees to 3 significant figures. We have figured out that our angle y is 19.4 degrees. Unlike some of angles in the triangle, we have 2 angles already and we're looking for the third angle. We can use some of angles in the triangle. That means total angle including angle x would equal to 180. So we have x plus 93 plus 19.4 equals 180. Sum of angles in a triangle. We have x plus 93 plus 19.4 will give you 112.4 equals 180. X is equal to, you take out the 112.4, 180 minus, because the 112.4 has a plus, you take it out, it becomes minus 112.4. X is equal to 180 minus 112.4 will give you 67.6 degrees. So we'll have our angle x to be 67.6 degrees. So we'll have it as 67.6 degrees. Taking a look at our diagram again, I remember saying that if this is 57 and y is directly south of x, that's due south, then this should be 57. And if this angle is bigger than 57, that means this line should be drawn outside. And this part of this angle is 57. Then the rest falls outside 57. I hope you understand. And the rest of this angle can be found by doing 67.6 minus 57. Let's say we have 67.6 minus 57 will give us 10.6 degrees. So for this, has discovered that this angle is 67.6 degrees, and this angle, if it were directly due south, will be 57 degrees. That means our diagram is not perfect, but that doesn't mean we're wrong. It means we have to redraw, and that means after 57 degrees to this side, we have to go 10.6 degrees more to complete the 67.6 degrees angle. Since we now know that y is not directly due south of x, we can now draw our diagram and get a better diagram. We have our 4 cardinal points here. We have our north, our west, our south. Then we have our palace P here. Palace P, we draw 60 meters we have our north, west, east. We have the house of Chief X here, and since we know this is 57 degrees and we know the angle here is beyond 57, that means it goes 10.6 degrees out. We'll have to draw it this way. So we have 57 degrees here, and here we have 10.6 degrees. We join this, then we can now join at this point. We have our Palace P here. We have Chief X house here as X. We have Chief Y's house here down here, and we know the distance between Chief X's house and Y's is 180 meters. And we have this angle to be 19.4 degrees, and we're actually looking for the bearing of X from Y. The bearing of X from Y means this is a north. Since it's a 3-figure bearing, you have to travel from the north right round and hit a line that connects X and Y. And there are 2 ways to find it. Since we know this is 10.6, this angle is 10.6, and this is like parallel to this. So we actually also know if this is 10.6, this is also 10.6. This angle is also 10.6, which is alternate angle. We can then use this 10.6 to calculate the angle we travel right round to hit this line, because the total angle we're supposed to travel to make a full turn is 360. So if you are traveling all the way and you're left with 10.6 degrees to complete 360, so we can just say 360 degrees minus 10.6 degrees will give us 349.4 degrees. And to 3 significant figures, that means we stop 349 without the 0.4, so we have that 349 degrees as our final answer to 3 significant figure. We can also find it by traveling all the way around to hit this line. As done earlier, we know that this inner angle is 60 degrees because we had to travel a total of 150 to get from Palace P to the house of Chief Y, and we have to travel 90, then the remaining out of the 150 is 60. This means this is also 60, and if this is 60, alternate angle, this is also 60 degrees. And knowing that this is 60 degrees and we're looking for the bearing of X from Y, so we can also find it by traveling all the way around, including all these angles down here. So it can be, you've traveled 90, you've traveled another 90, you've traveled another 90. 90 plus 90 is 180. 180 plus another 90 you traveled here is 270. We have 270 plus 60 plus 19.4. So we have 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus 60 plus 19.4 would all add up to 349.4 degrees, which is approximately, to 3 significant figures, 349 degrees. 3SF, same as the first answer. Either way, you still get your answer. Question 10 BII says, find and correct to 3 significant figures the distance between P and Y at this distance from here to here. We know this angle, as done earlier, is 67.6 degrees. We can also still use sine rule to get this. Since we know this our total angle is 93 degrees, we can use P and this angle to find this side. So sine rule still applies. So using sine rule, which says A over sine A equals B over sine B and C over sine C. Since we're looking for the small x, we'll use this, and knowing that this is our P, we'll use P plus P over sine P equals x over sine x. We know our P is 180 meters, and we know our angle P is 93 degrees, so we have sine 93 degrees equals, then we know our x, the big X or the angle X, is 67.6 degrees, and we're looking for this X, so we have X, which is unknown, over sine 67.6 degrees. We'll cross multiply and we'll solve for X. We have it as X times sine 93 degrees. We cross and multiply equals 180 times sine 67.6 degrees. X times sine 93 degrees as 0.9986 equals 180, then times sine 67.6 is 0.9245. x times 0.9986 equals 180 times 0.9245 will give you 166.41. We divide both sides by 0.9986 to get rid of this and make x stand alone. We have x is equal to 166.41 divided by 0.9986 will give us 166.64 meters, and to three significant figure we have it as 167 meters as our answer to three significant figures.